be inspired and be on fire for life. I'm Temple Hayes, and I feature a lot of guests on this podcast: authors, teachers, practitioners, healers, seekers, warriors, all different types of people that have learned how to be on fire. In other words, regardless of what's going on externally, they have learned to keep the passion for life and that solar plexus energy of desire for improving life, not only for themselves, but for others. We are really grateful for our sponsors. I've written their names within the chat room. Global Peace Workers, that's currently doing a lot of work in the States and in Kenya, and also ILI, the Institute for Leadership and Lifelong Learning International. And so we're delighted that they are hosting this show and very, very grateful. If you want to be a sponsor, you can contact executive producer at templehayes.com. But it's really a great thing to just dip in every week and learn new things and remind ourselves of what we already know. And it's truly my pleasure to introduce today just a real balanced, calm. You know me, I always love when I'm around somebody balanced and calm. Dr. Larissa Smith. We're going to call her Dr. Laura today. But here we are, and I want to bring her into the room and have her be with us. Thank you so much for being here today, Dr. Lara.
Hi, Temple. Thank
Uh,
you. It's a pleasure to
uh,
be here and good to talk to you as always.
well, it's such a blessing, and it's almost like I needed to have you on the show to know more about you. I certainly, I knew you in Florida. I know you now, but I knew you in Florida, and I admired you tremendously. Any parent of small children always has my tremendous respect, and not having a clue what that must be like, but just great respect. But you have quite a story and quite a journey in how things led you to go back to more natural modalities and natural remedies and all those kind of things. And I'm the same way of having run-ins with the medical or being misdiagnosed or stuff made me want to go the natural route. But here you are, a very accomplished acupuncturist representing Chinese medicine and holistic alternatives. What was the real desire that encouraged you to do what you needed to do in order to represent the field that you do?
Yeah, so I, always, never really knew what I wanted to be when I grew up and had a hard time deciding what to do in college until I had to finally forced to pick something. So I decided to go into information systems management because it was practical and there were jobs in that field. And I liked computers, like being on the computer. So I went that route. And I spent almost 10 years in the electronic medical record software field doing training support, setting up software for doctors to use. And I got to a point where I was like miserable. I was just not happy doing what I was doing. I was helping people, but it wasn't making me feel fulfilled. I wasn't happy. So I just told myself I have to do something else. Like if I'm going to be working 40 hours a week, I might as well do something that makes me happy and not miserable. So
Mm.
I started looking around at options, and I stumbled upon an apothecary in St. Pete, and it just kind of sparked this desire in me to study herbs.
Mm.
So I just really felt like happy just learning about herbs. So I enrolled in Chinese herbalism classes in St. Pete with Dr. Bob Lindy. And I did that for about a year, and I just grew to love it more and more. And I decided to do more and enroll in acupuncture school, where I continued to learn herbalism, but everything else under the umbrella of traditional Chinese medicine. And I just, as I studied it more and more, I just fell in love with it more over time. And I love the philosophy, the teachings, the theories of Chinese medicine, and how, people can heal themselves by living in tune with nature and by eating properly, like doing things that are healthy for the body, and um, addressing both mind, body, and spirit. As
Mhm.
so that's the story behind how I got where I am now. So I did 3.5 years of acupuncture school and 4 board exams to get licensed. And I finished my last board exam 2 weeks before my son was born. So thank goodness I finished it. I wouldn't have been able to finish it if he was born any earlier. Um, and I've just been practicing, building my own practice for 2 years now, and just loving sharing, my knowledge with other people, telling them how natural medicine can help them with everything from pain to emotional and mental disorders and everything in between, including natural facial rejuvenation, which is another thing I'm passionate about.
Right, it shows on your face. Gotcha. One of the things is, I don't know if you know her, Dr. Tiffany Romar. She
Mhm.
not only lives on Bella Vista Island, but she's the veterinarian, specializes in Chinese medicine and herbs and pet care acupuncture. I didn't know if you were aware of her,
Yeah.
but absolutely. I love any Chinese medicine practice, and because it's an art, and it works, and like you said, it really focuses on the whole body, mind, and spirit. And I had episode on the cruise that we were in January with my knee, and I went to an acupuncturist on the ship, and she was born and trained in China. And immediately I knew, oh, between my mindset and between what I need to adjust within me, this is I'm going to get this handled because it's such an art and such a specialty that teaches people longevity and really ageless, how to be forever young. It's really really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really incorporating into my practice since fall of last year is more of a nutritional component, coaching people on healthy organic nutrition, healthy eating
Hmm.
habits, and gut health, which is
Yes.
so important for so many things. A lot of chronic diseases are linked to poor gut health.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Did you have you since you've been practicing in your office and seeing different clients, have you treated any children?
Well, when I started out, I was really gung ho about, treating kids with acupuncture. I tried advertising it. It's really hard to get that clientele to come in. I did treat a couple of pediatric patients. It was a lot harder than I thought. So
Hmm.
I decided that wasn't for me. I
Hmm.
treat my own kids with acu-laser therapy, which is basically using a laser on acupoints instead of needles, and cupping on the back, and herbal
Hmm.
medicine. So I do that for my kids at home. But I decided I'm going to treat anyone, age 14 to 99, and
Of course,
I'm
yeah,
going to leave.
or 150. I mean, let's
Yeah,
keep our number raised. But the minute I ask you that, I thought, because I've mostly like 90, 95% always practiced acupuncture, chiropractic, holistic medicine, medical, this big. and that includes the 5% of my life where I had major jaw surgery. But that being said, the moment I asked you that question, I went, "What am I thinking?" As kids, we're terrified of needles, even though it's not the same. And I meet some adults when they ask me what's one of my preferences for healing. I say acupuncture, and they go, "Oh, I can't handle the needles." And I go, "It's not like that. It's not like a shot. It's not like it goes all the way through you half the time, unless you need it in a particular area, you don't even know that you're being pricked. That's all it is a prick point. Of course, you're the expert, but that's the way I explain it because it's not like a needle, for sure.
Yeah, the needles I use are very thin. It's like
Hmm.
the width of a cat's whisker. They're very non-invasive, and acupuncture is not supposed to hurt. I mean, the way I needle is very gentle, and um, yeah. What's funny is that the patients that I find are most afraid of the needles are men.
Yeah.
Women tend to be a lot braver, can handle
Hmm.
more pain. So that's been
Well,
interesting.
another part of it too is probably being vulnerable. When you're in that setting, you really let go of control. And that's not easy a lot of times for the masculine energy not to be in charge, right? Where's your office at? Do you practice in North St. Petersburg, or where are you at?
Yeah, so I'm located inside a clinic called Vitalize Wellness. It's in
Mm.
Northeast St. Pete on MLK and 62nd Avenue North.
In St. Petersburg, Florida,
Yes,
where the sun shines most of the time, unlike where some others of us live.
yes. Although it's pretty sunny where you live, I guess.
uh, it's cold.
Okay.
It's cold. Um, yeah, sorry about that. It's we have dogs, and that's what happens. So anyway, so yeah, that it is cold a lot. The majority of the year, it's less than 70 most of the time. So,
Okay.
but anyway, when I was reading about some of your life experiences, you were talking about depression, and um, that word is used a lot now in our culture, and I am not discounting it in any way, ever, 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 and it's real, and I'm not saying it isn't real. I always like to highlight things because people can quickly either become defensive or misjudge what the statement is about to be. There's no doubt we've always had depression. We're human beings. We have pressed in feelings. Some of us have survived terrible childhoods and think that we either are going to die or maybe it would be better if we did. Knowing what you know now, when you look back on your young life that you had no control over, but knowing what you know about the mind, body, spirit, if someone had met someone like you as a small child or a teenager, how do you feel the work that you do now and the knowledge that you have would make a difference?
Yeah, so I'm I mean, I really think a lot of children out there are over medicated
Hmm.
for many different reasons. And and when I was younger, I was also medicated, I believe unnecessarily, on Ritalin for ADD, just
Wow.
what they
Hmm.
suspected I had. But the reality, I think, was I was just extremely introverted. Wouldn't speak up or ask questions at school. Didn't ask for help. I needed glasses, so I didn't see very well. So I just did very poorly for a period of time at school, and they just chalked it up to ADD. So tried to get me on Ritalin, which I secretly discarded every time they gave it to me. So I just felt like this was something that wasn't right for me. Like
Mhm.
that was not what I was needing to have. So from an early age, I just kind of had an aversion to pharmaceutical medications and being told that I need to take them. Um, so, I mean, medication has its place. There's definitely times where it's appropriate. But a lot of people, including children, I think are over medicated. And a lot of things that are just basic things are overlooked, such as proper nutrition. Nutrition has a huge effect on
Mhm.
behavior. Um, you know, interpersonal in relationships with family members, social community um, of the neighbors. So it all comes into play. So it's really important to give children the best start they can with whole food nutrition.
Mhm.
Thing that I'm a big advocate of. I'm a member of the Million Mom Movement, which it helps to um, educate families about reading nutritional labels, um, making smart choices at the grocery store, staying away from like the refined sugars, the processed foods, the foods with GMOs, glyphosate, all these toxic things, artificial
Mhm.
colors and sweeteners, as all of that has a huge effect on kids' behaviors. So, and are contributing factors to the ADHD, ADD epidemic that we've seen
Mhm.
growing over the last like 20 years.
Yeah, I find it, all pretty fascinating. I've been reading some studies where they are testing blood within young children, and they're finding evidence of plastic.
Oh, the microplastics.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
scary. It's
somewhat it is, and
so pervasive. It's
it is, and
scary.
I think that one of the things is it's like we go through these trends as a society, and everything fits in that box. So I find a kid that's either wound up or wound tight, and I find a kid that is hesitant to answer questions in the educational component, and well, they must be borderline autistic. I don't know how many kids came through community that I was involved at, and a lot of times these children, they're just more evolved than their parents because that's what nature is, right? Evolution, and um, and it fascinates me in 2024 that a lot of times it's one size fits all. Oh, you might be ADHD or ADD, or it's a label, and I recommend these certain companies, and it's really scary, the misuse of a lab coat sometimes, but the kids get on this and they don't address nutrition. It
Mhm.
just blows me away with all we know and with all we have available. So I have seen kids drink Pepsi Cola, which you might as well just put sugar in a cup, put a straw, you know,
Yeah,
and or a cola, a Coke of some kind. I don't want to slam one company because they're all the same, but to have pure sugar and be all hyped up and then be given something to calm you down. It's pretty bizarre when you think about it.
yeah. So for a while, I used to give my daughter some like chocolate milk with like the milk with the chocolate Hershey's chocolate syrup.
Mhm.
I recently transitioned her over into a healthier option, which is a powder I mix in water or like almond milk
Mhm.
and it's got fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, and
Mhm.
um, a component that detoxes glyphosate from the body. And she loves the way it tastes. So, she,
So you're fortunate and that she's into it. So did you have you noticed a more balanced sense of her moods?
yes, yes.
Mhm.
I've been giving her more of the organic foods. She also drinks a green power shake that I give her that's got all kinds of green organic superfoods in it. And she loves the way that tastes too. And she asks for it. And whenever I make some for myself, she asks for it. So, yeah, just getting more nutritious foods in front of her and less of the sugars. Like sometimes she'll get the junk food from school
Mhm.
or care. So sometimes it's unavoidable.
Mhm.
I do what I can. Sending
Yeah,
her to
that you're just
school.
we all do the best we can in role modeling, and then we have the levels of affordability too that some
Mhm.
parents and grandparents just aren't able to afford. Some of the better quality things that occur. Um, and my thing is that when I was a kid being sent to school, we didn't have pre-K and nursery, and you just went to school. You went to first grade, and but my dad used to make sugar toast, buttered, loaded with butter on white bread, laced in white sugar, and I would eat a couple of big pieces of toast and go off to
Mhm.
school and
I
just
used to
be
have something like
just
that too when I
right,
was a kid.
right,
With
just
cinnamon on
be
top.
right, just be off the chart. And the teacher would say, "You're so wild and you're too much and you're too loud." And I'd get written up all the time on my conduct. And yeah, some of it was me crying out, wanting attention, wanting people to know that down the road it was pretty crazy. Um, Nobody seemed to think about that. I guess they weren't trained in that area. But a big thing was sugar. And I, loved sugar all these years, processed sugar and everything else. And then what people don't realize is often you go from sugar to alcohol. It's the best form of sugar that you can get. So when I spent all those years drinking, consuming large amounts of alcohol, somebody would say to me, "You want a piece of cake, or you want an almond joy bar?" Or and I'd go, "Oh no, I don't care for sugar." You don't do better if you don't know better. Oh no, I don't care for sugar while I'm sitting there drinking like sugar juice,
Yeah,
totally loaded. It's pretty fascinating, isn't it, when we look back and see? I guess we have come a long ways, haven't we?
yes, yes. And sugar is definitely addictive.
Hmm.
Yes, it's been proven in clinical studies to be. I think they say it's like as addictive as cocaine. Like it's no joke. Like I used to have like strong sugar cravings like that. Anything like a candy bar or anything sweet was like my go-to comfort food.
Hmm.
Um, but I've come a long way. Like I've now I don't have those cravings anymore.
Hmm.
They're like a lot less intense. So I've been making a lot more healthy nutritional choices within the last 6 months.
Hmm. And that's good because then you can advise that to your patients.
Yeah.
There's a story about a woman who traveled a long ways to have Mahatma Gandhi, see her daughter, and so they got there, and they greeted Gandhi, and she said, "I need you to tell my daughter not to eat sugar. It's not good for her." And Gandhi said, "Tell her to come back in 6 months." So
Hmm.
she came back in 6 months, and they go before him again, and it's like, "Would you please tell my daughter it's been 6 months not to eat sugar?" And he looks at her and goes, Dear, you're not to eat any more sugar. And the woman said, Why did you make us go through that? Why couldn't you have told her that 6 months ago? And he said, Because I was still eating sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, true story. Um, but it makes a difference. And uh, sugar is great going down, but the moods, so if you find yourself that you experience highs and lows, you definitely want to check to what amount of sugar intake you're having because it's fun going in, but wow, do you fall either in cranky or sleepy head. It just really, it will affect you long term. Um, do you have a website? Is there some place that we can invite people to go? Let's see, there you are.
It's
You're,
drlarasmith.com. It's Lara is spelled Lara.
okay. All right. We'll get Andrea to put that in, drlarasmith.com. Dr. Lara, Lara Smith.com. And that way you can be in touch with Laura and you can live anywhere and still have a consultation, learn more about diet, learn more about your children, your grandchildren. It's so important, for a vibrant life. And I was just excited to have you on the show because creating ways and knowledge for people to understand what it's like to be on fire, for life. It requires a balance of mind, body, and spirit for sure.
Yes. And, especially for people that take care of other people, wellness practitioners, we're notorious about not taking care of ourselves.
Mhm.
Always something I'm trying to work on and get better at.
Mhm.
But I do try to be a good example. So, I've taken a lot of steps to start eating more healthy because, when I tell other people to eat a certain way, I don't want to be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
So I have to live by example. So I try to do that for my patients and for my kids as well, and trying to share that message with other moms.
Mhm. Well, of the patients that you've seen in the last couple of years, has there been one or two or three of them that you go, wow, that the very nature of your practice has surprised or tickled you, or it's been a reward, like, oh my gosh, I know in my work sometimes when I see somebody have an inner healing or an awakening, it's like, oh yeah, that's great, it just lights you up. What have some of your moments been with the remedies, the herbs, the acupuncture that you do?
Yeah, so I will have from time to time a patient who will, once I needle them with the point selection and do the treatment, they'll have an emotional release. They'll
Mm,
just crying. Um, so when I do acupuncture, where I'm moving chi and blood, and so if somebody has a past trauma with some emotional in nature, and they hold on to that, they don't you know process that properly or release that somehow. They just keep it in, they hold it in, and it gets stored as energy in the body. So when that energy gets released, people can experience all kinds of different emotions.
mhm,
Crying is one of them. So that's always cool to see that acupuncture has that effect on somebody. And one patient I can think about who he actually didn't want to try acupuncture, but he wanted to address his back pain. He had spent like 20 years in pain because um, he's a retired cop. So he used to have a lot of heavy equipment that he'd have to carry, and he had a lot of back pain ever since he retired from the field. So I did some fire cupping on his back, and the next day I asked him how he felt, and he said that his back pain wasn't there anymore. So I followed up with him again like a month later, and still his back pain was gone. The back pain
Wow.
he had for 20 years. So
That's huge.
do so much more than acupuncture, and fire cupping is really powerful modality that helps with any type of back pain, whether it's from like chronic overuse, scoliosis, arthritis, and also lung conditions. It's really effective in treating.
Hmm. That must be so rewarding for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
And of course, when I give my kids treatments at home and see the positive effects, it's very rewarding. So seeing that it helps them naturally with their symptoms that they're experiencing.
Hmm. Um, is your plan to continue a long-term practice in Pinellas County as a acupuncturist and to do the coupling and everything? Is that your happy place?
Yes, so I've been in practice for 2 years now. Going to continue building my practice and doing all the things that I love doing, which includes the acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine recommendations, fire cupping, cold laser therapy, which is great for sports injuries and arthritis, and
Hmm.
so helping people, empowering people to take care of themselves beyond the clinic. Once they leave, I want them to do things for themselves to keep themselves healthy and well and not coming back um, because they're not taking care of themselves. So I give them access to an app that gives them customizable things like acupressure points, qigong exercises, meditation, and traditional Chinese medicine food therapy advice that they can incorporate into their daily routine.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's really wonderful. So, what I'm hearing you say is that it's more than a one or two times of treatment. It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a. I love that story. I heard it on a ship um, from a woman whose friend was a naturalist, and a man came to see the naturalist because he had had so many visits to different specialists, and he really thought he was going to die, and they couldn't find out what was wrong with him. And so he goes to the naturalist, and he just happened to be a person that asked the right questions and said, "When's the last time you've been outside?" And the guy couldn't answer. He said, "Well, you haven't been outside?" And he said, "No, I live near Central Park, but I live on, such and such a floor, and then I walk across the bridge, and then that's where my office is, and then I come home." And the doctor said, "Well, go home and come back in 6 months, but hug a tree, put your bare feet on the ground, stay outside, and spend as much time as you can being outside." And he was healed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
amazing how just being
common
outside,
sense.
being out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also encourage people to um, go be out in nature, um, and it really helps improve the mood.
Hmm.
It's a major thing. But yeah, grounding is something that's a lot of people don't really know about. That's highly beneficial.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just amazing how simple things like that can have a big impact on health and really turn things around.
Well, it's pretty interesting that we're born from nature and we return to nature. Nobody's going to get out of it.
Hmm.
We're going to return to nature in one form or another, but it is pretty fascinating how we might on some level be more connected than ever, social media, TikTok, X, and can communicate with people all over the world, but it's the inner connection, it's the nature connection that really needs sometimes our attention, and to create that wholeness, of ourselves, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
And then when we were talking about trends, um, like trends of ADHD and ADD. And if you're a parent and you go, well, are you saying that it doesn't exist? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying to do your due diligence. When you get any kind of diagnosis, do your due diligence. Ask yourself, is this a really true? I have a family member whose name I will protect, but I had a son, still does, that never ate vegetables, never ate, anything real and alive. And so this son developed going to the bathroom problems, and was getting on medication
Mm.
because his body wouldn't work naturally because he wasn't eating anything natural. And it's mind boggling to me, you know. So we're not saying, Dr. Lara isn't saying, and I'm not saying that there aren't some diagnoses that are true. Who are we? I would never say that. I'm simply saying, before you go into full blown acceptance, do the research. How's our family life? What nutrition does the child have? What is their exposure? How are they in a school system or an education system? Or um, what's eating them and what are they eating? All these things come into play that deserve research and deserve knowledge, um, and to question it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. You don't just accept a diagnosis and then take a pill to address the symptoms, address the
Hmm.
cause, like what's actually causing the symptom over here to happen.
Hmm.
Address the root of that, and um, if you once you address the root cause, those branch symptoms will start disappearing.
Hmm. Yeah, like, and it's not meant, I don't think, to replace common sense. It's like, ADHD is like you never heard of it, and then you heard about it all the time. And autism, you heard about it some, thank God for Temple Grandin and some realistic things that exist with that. But also then you heard about it. Like, I don't know, so we're going to call it this. And then, simple things as sunglasses. Oh God, sunglasses and the sun is our enemy. And, it's just so extreme. I
Mhm.
I haven't worn sunglasses. I can't tell you when, in forever years ago, because we need vitamin D, and it goes through our eyes. But we get programmed a lot, that does get in the way of some of our natural ways of being, or ways of expression, or the kind of shoes we wear that destroy our knees. And I mean, nobody tells us, there's no disclaimer that says, well, you can do this and you can have fun doing it, but you might want to be aware that over here you're going to have some side effects.
Yeah,
Hmm.
which is why it's so important to teach kids to question and think for yourself. Don't just accept things as they are, and just always have that inquisitive mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you have a comment for Dr. Laura, please put it in the comment section. And even if we don't answer it today on the show, we can address it later, and make sure you get your questions answered. And I want to thank Andrea. She was saying that on your website you also have the wellness app on there, don't you?
Yeah, it's called Jing. Yeah, it was
Okay.
created by an acupuncturist. Um, and actually, in acupuncture school, I studied one of his books. He wrote like a manual on all the acupoints. So he created this app, and I knew it was going to be good, so I bought it, and
Mhm.
I use it for people all the time.
That's great. That's great. So you can go to Dr. Lara, Lara Smith.com, and you can download the app and use it for your own benefit. That's for sure. So what else have you learned on this amazing journey we call life, aside from it's not easy being a mom and working and all the things. I mean, that's not a complaint. It's just real life, and I applaud all mothers. It's just amazing what all that you're able to do and multitask and everything else. But
Yeah.
what would you say some of your greatest learnings are now?
Um, well, I've been learning a lot within the past 6 months about natural facial rejuvenation. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I use a lot of techniques that are safe, natural, non-invasive alternatives to Botox fillers, facelift.
Mm-hmm.
Cosmetic acupuncture is one of them. Microneedling, facial cupping, and gua sha. And so all these things can really help with improving the appearance. Uh, and what I do in clinic when somebody wants to address wrinkles on their face or whatever they're wanting to work on, I not only address that, I address the whole person. So
Mm-hmm.
a holistic approach. So I will do body acupuncture to help bring that person into balance. And then also address the face because I believe in health and radiance from the inside out.
Yes.
Our health on the inside is reflected in our outwards appearance. So, and our emotions have an effect on, how we hold our face, the emotions that we express. So, balancing emotions to help. So, I tie that into the natural facial rejuvenation techniques I use, as well as, of course, healthy nutritional advice.
That's really powerful. And it's so true, isn't it? I mean, until you have the inside balanced, it doesn't matter if you have one wrinkle, you have five, you don't have any. You still can have that critical side when you look in the mirror. So,
Yes,
so good for you that you're teaching more esteem and balance and feeling good about who you are. Um, I remember teaching a course called "The Only Diet There Is," and it was helping people see the energy and the relationship or lack of relationship they had with food and diet, or what the memories of childhood were sitting at the dinner table, or whether it was an anxiety or fun or you look forward to it. But the bottom line was the only diet there was love, is love. And it was really a powerful course, and a lot of reasons people thought they were taking it, they were surprised to discover what they learned. So I love that you're doing that with people, because they're learning wholeness, not brokenness.
yes, and a lot of people that I've come across, in acupuncture clinic, they're coming to me because they want a more holistic approach to their care. They don't want to be given a prescription medication just to address their symptoms. They want to go the more natural, more preventative medicine.
Hmm.
Like, and acupuncture is really fantastic at preventative. So keeping that balance with mind, body, spirit to keep yourself um, healthy and living a long life. Pain free, hopefully pain free, and without being on any medications. That's the
Mhm.
goal.
Absolutely. I want to share with you a movie, and we can type it in the comments. It's Love Heals, HEALS film.com. Lovehealsfilm.com. You'll really love that, Dr. Laura. And they refer to a lot of the natural medicine, a retreat in Sedona, someone that has chronic back pain, and they talk to either 16 or 18 people that have various conditions. And I think you could use it in your practice as well. Lovehealsfilm.com. And it's really powerful. I don't know if your work is like mine, sometimes people can't hear me. It's nothing personal. Um, but they're just so used to working with me or taking coaching from me or mentoring from me or whatever that when I have something like watch this, they go, "Wow." And though they might say something in the film you've said 20 times, they'll hear it in a different way. But we just showed that in Santa Barbara, and people can't get over it. It's like, wow, I've had an awakening, or now I know what I can do about X, Y, and Z.
Very
There's a
cool to have.
surgeon. You'll love it. You'll really love it, and it's extremely validating for what you do. And like a surgeon will say, I wish I could tell you that we gathered together in our surgeon meetings and we talk about how many people have actually been healed and how they're doing better. And he said we talk about the profit margin.
Hmm. Very cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for that
it's
recommendation. I'll have to watch it for sure.
Yeah, it absolutely. It's pretty amazing. Well, speaking of role model, you are a role model. I can see why you would do face rejuvenation because you're so alive, you're so vibrant, and we know when you're a mom, you start getting sleep about 18 years later. So, and then you go through another cycle. So,
I know
that's
all about sleep deprivation.
Oh, yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yes, I know. That's what Barbara Beebe, that's what her son and his wife say. They have four little ones, and they're like, we
Oh my.
never realized that we were like giving up sleep till, many years from now. But you would never know it when it comes to you, and you look radiant and fantastic. And it's such a pleasure to have you on the show and your knowledge and your information. And everyone, go and visit Dr. Laura um, Smith.com. Is that what I said? DrLauraSmith.com. Yep. Yeah. So go and visit her and learn more and be part of everything. It's been great being with all of you today, and thank you for tuning in. And please share this with your family and your friends and your social media because it can really make a difference. Sometimes just 1 hour can change someone's life forever.